you very much. Yeah, you know, you can tell by her eyebrows, she's the actress there. When they have their eyebrows that flare upwards, that indicates someone who loves to be on stage. So I think you're well matched. So welcome everybody. Yes, I came across this quite a few years ago, actually back in the 80s. And when I was studying color for clothing with Suzanne Cagle, and Suzanne was the first person to introduce color analysis, and we had to paint skin tones and things like that. And she launched it in 1943 in Los Altos Hills. And so she was the very first person, and her system was unlike anybody else's. And I was really curious about it. I'd seen a lot of people's colors, but didn't think it quite fit. And I went to have my colors done by her, and I was just blown away. She just captured the essence of people. And so I studied with him. That's whilst I was studying, this man came in to have his colors done, and he was a student of this system, which I now call face pattern recognition, because I feel that's really is very descriptive of what it is. And he was looking for people to come down and have their faces read, and I thought, oh, this is so California-like, and you know, I wasn't going to fall for this one. But anyway, curiosity got the better of me, and I went down and had an assessment, and I tell you, it was amazing. I have taken lots of tests over time, and since I've had my chart done, nothing compares to this. And so we are born with these traits. At day one, you can see if the chart has music, writing, the bottom line, are they the perfectionists, are they more analytical, are they the historians, and several other traits. And by the time the child has passed puberty, all these traits are then fully formed. So we're born with this. So I think of the face as the GPS to our inner blueprint, and explains, like my book says, what makes people tick and why. So we inherit these traits. But anyway, going back to the history and the research, this was first started by Edward Jones, who was a judge in Los Angeles. And whilst he was in court, he noticed a strong correlation between structure and personality, and became so intrigued by this that he researched this on over 10,000 people. He with a group of men, no women were involved. And they were engineers, statisticians, psychologists, salespeople, and they're all intrigued by this whole concept. It goes back to physiognomy and phrenology. At one time, that was being used to determine if somebody was guilty of a crime based on their face. So you can relax, ladies. There is no trait that indicates crime, so you're okay. But yeah, so after his research, he came up with 68 traits with an 88% accuracy. It goes across all cultures. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you have a certain shaped eye or texture of hair, it's going to mean exactly the same, because a lot of people say, well, isn't this racist? Are we talking about ethnicity? The answer is no. It goes across every culture. I don't look at a culture and say, well, they come from there, therefore they're different. We all have the same traits. We all come from one source. And I now speak with people, work with people actually, career assessments from all over the world who send me their photographs of their face for a career assessment. It's been amazingly accurate. Anyway, so after Jones' research, they were invited by the Freshman Air Force to go in to see if by using this system, could they determine who would stay the course. They got a 97% accuracy. They even indicated the type of aircraft they fly. And I met this man a couple of years ago who didn't realize I knew about this study. And he started to tell me that his father was part of this study. So again, it validated it. And studies were done in San Quentin prison. And not for crime, but just see how this would help the inmates. And the psychologist and the warden, they both said what was uncovered with 2 hours, within 2 hours of working with these men, said it would take months, years, perhaps never to uncover. And you know, sometimes I look at children's faces from other parts of the world and I think, look at the potential that's there. Potential they may never discover. Anyway, so that was the basis of the research. More research was done in 1950s through 70s by Robert Whiteside, and he came up with similar results and added a few more traits. So we work with about 88 to 91%, 91 traits today. And we have special tools to measure the face. So we measure the width of the face, the slope of the forehead, we measure the eyes. And so what I'm going to do today is share with you some of these insights. So I'll be asking for a few of you to come up on stage, and it's all very positive, so relax. And I should warn you all, faces will never look the same again. You're going to be finding yourself in the post office or in the grocery store or somewhere. And it's got me all sorts of free drinks, you know, on the. And I remember being on this flight over to Australia, and I'm sitting next to this man, and he said, "What are you going to Australia for?" And I said, "I'm giving a workshop," and I told him what I did. "Oh," I said, "if you like, I can read your face." And so my hands all over his face, you know, like this. And he's traveling with an entourage of people. And across the other side of the plane, they're all looking, "What's this woman doing?" Anyway, they came over and checked with him. "Everything all right?" "Oh, yes, it's fine," he says. He gave me his card, and I didn't take much notice. And I saw his name was Dan. Anyway, he gets on the plane. It's a whole entourage of people waiting for him. I looked at his card. He was the top general of the NASA Space Division. And my hands have been over him. Well, not quite. So it can get you free bottles of wine and free lunches. I don't know, it'll be amazing. So what I invite you to do is study one trait at a time. Okay? And then, especially with the eyes, it's the first thing we see is the eyes. So we actually measure the eyes. Now, when the eyes are, we measure the eyes from inner corner to outer corner. And then we measure the space between. And we look to see, is the eye larger than the space between, or is it smaller, or is it the same size? If the eyes are larger than the space between, these people are very good with detail. And you often see them in dentists. Like I gave a talk at the conference, a dental conference, and I had 200 beady eyes looking at me. So next time you're in your dentist chair, check out their eyes. But yes, they're very good with detail. They work well with detail. You see it in a lot of teachers as well. It's a very detailed job, or accountants. Whereas when people have the wide set in between, where they have wider set eyes, they're much more laid back. They're a multitasker. So what can happen with the close set eyes, sometimes they can worry about things that's bigger than life itself. And it's like, you know, they look at you like this, and they be close, and whereas the wide set eyes, "Oh, what's wrong? You know, get over it. You'll be fine, won't you?" And so there's a difference between the wide set and the close set eyes. Now, I'm not suggesting when you next meet your client that you take out the ruler and start measuring them. But it's a way of, practice one trait at a time. And when you see people which looks like close set eyes, say, "I bet you're good with detail." "Yeah, I love detail." "Oh, and do you worry about things a lot?" "Oh, all the time." "Oh, how do you know?" "Oh, well, I took this, listened to this person talked on face pattern recognition." Anyway, so the close set are very good with detail, but they do tend to focus on what's not working till it's bigger than life itself. And if they have more head behind the ear, we measure this, than in front, what can happen with a close set eye person, they can dwell on the past. You've got more head behind your ear than in front. People with that trait dwell on the past. They run it and run it and run it like an old broken record. And if they've got the close set eyes, it can take them down to a very low point in their life. And so way to work with this is actually to check your, well, if you're working with something like that, get them to step outside. What is the benefit of this? Like this woman came into, wanted a career assessment, and she was afraid if she was good enough, and if she was good enough, would she get a job, and if she got a job, would she get fired? Oh, there's like this, And I said, "What's that like?" And she described it to me. I said, "Okay, step over here and describe what it would be like if your life was the way it was." And she described it. I said, "Okay, so what do you need to do that?" And she said, "Oh, I need to do this." And it stepped her out of her anxiety into the possibilities. So this is the way our brain is wired. And so we come into this world, but we do have choice. Choice always supersedes structure. Now you may meet some people who have, you notice where the corner of one eye is closer to the center of the nose than the other. So when this eye is further away, that's the corner of the eye, these people are very laid back. And then the other eye is closer, and suddenly they snap at you out of the blue. And so here's the wide-eyed person, the multitasker. I can do this and this and this and this and this. And then the other eye gets overwhelmed and snaps. So I would say to that person, do you need a break? And it's just looking as to why they're behaving that way. You know, this has had an incredible, the effect with children, understanding children. I remember seeing this young man who was in a wheelchair, and I could see the potential that he had, and I thought, oh, he should be in documentary films. And his mother was standing there. He's about 16, 17, and his mother was standing there, and so I asked the young man, I said, well, what do you do? What are you going to do later on? He said, well, I don't know, really. I said, well, this is what I do, and I think you should get into documentary films. And his mother said, I can't believe you're saying that. She said, next week, he's going to get the top award for the best documentary film in school. And the young man raised his fist like this and said, yes, I'm on the right track. And another young man in Santa Rosa, in the parking garage, helping people out with the tickets. I saw the same traits. I asked him what he was planning to do. He said, are you going to college? No, I'm a high school dropout. And I said, well, what are you going to do a job? He said, well, who would want me? And I said, you know, you want to get into film editing. And with that, he reached out and took my hands in his and said, you have just turned my life around. He said he'd been at the lowest point of her life today. And he said, this is something I'd been interested in, but didn't think I'd be good enough. So what I do is I reconnect people with who they are. I simply validate them. We all have our strengths and we all have our challenges. And it's what we do about the challenges, especially in relationships, that make the difference. So those of you who have these very close set eyes, if you keep snapping at your partner, it's going to turn them off. Because they'll put up with you and put up with you, and then when they've had enough, they've had enough. And so just be aware of your trait and think about how can you turn that off. So that's the close set and the wide set eyes. Now I'd like to, first of all, let's, you're right here in front, so we'll get you to stand up. And okay, let's take a look at your eyes. I wonder if I can get them closer than that. Okay. Yours are fairly close. No. Yes. Would you come up? All right, would you mind coming up here on stage? Okay. Those are wide set. Lay back. Oh yes, very close. Okay, oh yes. Here we go. Now look at the two of them together. Their face this way. Now, doesn't she look laid back? Yeah. No worries, as the Australians say. It'll be fine. We have a little bit more energy here, and get very intense sometimes. But very good with detail. Yes. Yes, very good with detail. I'm not. Yeah, so sometimes you can worry about things till it's bigger than life itself. So just say, oh, it's my close set eyes again. I'm going to get later. So I know what. Go and get a pair of wide set eyes and put it on you, and then it'll help you too. But yeah, you can see the difference in the energy, can't you? Wide set, very laid back, a little more intense. But in what do you do as a profession?
I'm a coach and a yoga instructor.
Okay, so we often see this trait in teaching and coaching, and she's got exposed eyelids, so she lays her in on the issues. So perfect for coaching. Yes. So there are degrees of this trait, but this is the extreme limit to help you recognize it. Okay, thank you very much. Let's give them a quick applause. Oh, you want to take over for me? She's got this, we'll talk about the wide face in a minute. Oh, you're in the prime position here, thank you. So that's the close and the wide set eyes. Then we have the eyes that turn down like this. I had all of the top, or some of the top actors and actresses, I had to do their profiles last year. And Liza Minnelli, she had her eyes come down like that. And this is your perfectionists. They see mistakes quicker than other people. They wonder why you miss them. Surely you must see it, and they can come across as being very critical. Nothing seems to be good enough. They don't mean to be critical, they're trying to help you. And this, in relationships, can be really tough because, you know, the husband or the wife comes home with this trait and they're constantly criticizing what the other person's done. And it can be really tough on relationships. They believe they're helping them, but nothing's ever good enough. Now, the gift of this trait is that anything to do with precision is their gift. And you'll see it in a lot of your editors, your filmmakers, engineers, construction workers. When we had our deck rebuilt, I thoroughly examined each of the contractors, believe you me, and then the one who got the job, I gave him my book, and he said, "You hired me based on my face?" And I said, "Yes." And then I checked out all of his workers, and they all had the perfectionist trait, and every little thing was, oh, so painfully, I thought, in line with everything, till they got it just right. And you know, if you're hiring somebody in, this gives you another way to just check them out. Is this the person you want? I read their faces thoroughly before I hired anyone. I remember having our deck fixed, our fence fixed, and couldn't get anyone else to do it. And sure enough, these people turned up. They didn't have the perfectionist trait. They didn't have the plans with them. They put a piece of fence up which shouldn't have been there, and they were not the perfectionists. So it's not a criticism of them, but they'd have to work harder to get the same results. So it is a gift. So don't look at someone and say, "Ooh, you're critical." Just say, "I bet you see mistakes other people miss." And then when the eye goes up, these people are non-critical. We see this across all cultures. We sometimes think that people from Asian culture, all their eyes go up. Look again, they go down as much as ours do. No, you will find sometimes in certain countries, before we all moved around, there were certain traits would be more dominant there than other parts. But you do that, you see it in England. You go to the north of England, certainly in Scotland, they have a different face shape to those in the south. And so within every country you see this. Anyway, so that's to do with the perfectionist trait. And there's a few of you who have this, I think. Yes, we have a perfectionist down here. Do you notice mistakes that other people miss? How do you feel when you see that? What happens when you see that? Do you wonder why they don't see them? Yes, she says. Yeah, it's obvious to you, isn't it? Yeah, well, you have a gift. Yeah, and what do you do? A life coach, there you go. So she's going, yeah, it's on your right eye, but I think it's on both of your eyes. Yeah, stand up. Right, you take your glasses off. Okay, notice, and your name is? Gina. Oh yeah, oh look, we all see it. Of course, when she smiles, it goes up, but when she's naturally relaxed, Gina's eyes are naturally relaxed. See where the outer corner comes down lower than the inner corner? Yeah. So yeah, you see mistakes. So praise people first, and then point out what needs to be fixed. Now, do you do anything with relationships in it? This is perfect for you then, because this is a great asset in relationships. It helps people so much. In fact, thinking of relationships, these group of men who represent me now, they're setting up a dating site and using this technology. They've designed all this computer software to get compatibility profiles going together. I can recognize when people are compatible or not. And it's just face pattern recognition. I can see it right away. And then we see what the strengths and challenges are within the relationship. And we all have challenges. It's what we do about them that makes a difference. So that's the perfectionist trait. The other trait we look at is the eyelids. And when the eyelids are more exposed, these people want you to get to the bottom line. Never mind all the details, just tell me. They're more action-driven. And it's like, get on with it, and they hurry up on the phone. You can hear them on the phone because they speak like this. And if they have close-set eyes, they're even more like this. So, next time you see somebody like this man at the post office, he had these traits. And he would hurry people up, do this, do that, you know. So why do you work here, Christopher? He said, oh, it's a job. I said, I think you should do this. Why did you say that? And I talked about his face. After that, he was so nice to me. Or if you hear someone cut you off on the phone, you know they want you to get to the bottom line. So it's like, okay, bottom line. Or if you find you're meeting somebody with a more exposed eye, just say to them, look, we've got all these questions to cover, it's really important we do this, just bear with me. Whereas somebody who's more analytical is going to ask question after question after question. That's when the eyelid is completely covered. This person with the exposed eyelids, their eyes are rolling, they go. They just want them to get to the point, but the analytical people are good listeners. So next time someone cuts you off, check out their eyelids, and you'll notice they're completely exposed. And then, as I say, covered eyelid, they're more want to know the how and why of everything. Now, if you combine that with a nose that turns down like that, people with downturned noses, these people question everything. Prove it to me. Give me the evidence. Back it up with the information. And once you've done that, you've got them in the palm of your hands, maybe. So you have the analytical and the skeptic together, those two traits together, they build on each other. So you're going to have to work harder with those people to persuade them what they do. But talking about noses, I think you need to know this one, because talking about the nose, it's nothing to do with the Jewish culture, okay? It's all to do with the shape of the nose. And when the nose is more aquiline like this, like the Roman-shaped nose, when it's that bone that sticks up like that, these are your money people. How much does it cost? Is it worth it? And can I get it for less? They haggle the money. And people who have the ski jump nose, there's a few of you here with that, oh, don't worry about money, pay me next time. Oh, you can have today, I won't charge you today. For those of you who can relate to that, you have to charge the full price. You cannot give it away. These people go the extra mile for people, and they will do anything they can. It's not about money. And both men and women struggle with business with this. And about charging, whereas the convex or even the straight bridge, they're more money conscious. So those of you who have the ski jump nose, remember, you don't have to volunteer for everything. You know, delegate, 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 because the ones with the more convex nose, well, they're the ones who are good at delegating. I remember talking to this group of men, and this man who had a ski jump nose, he was as a director, but he was the brother of the president. And he was the one who waited on me hand and foot. And he was a manager. I said, well, how is that? He said, well, I don't really like the job. He said, I'd much rather be helping people. I don't like managing. But because he was the brother of the president, he kept that position. So start looking for those ski jump noses, and then you talk about service. Whereas these people say, oh, I've got a special for you today. And that will help their, open their ears. Say, oh, I'm interested now. But there's so many traits to go over in with such a short time frame here. It's hard. I've got this young lady. I'm not sure if we're on a 1 minute break or not. You got 5 minutes? Okay, good. But I'd like to talk about this one last trait, because it's important if you have children. If the forehead is straight up and down like this, okay, I'll expose my forehead. See how it's straight up and down? Okay? Would you mind coming up? Yours is more sloped back. Alright, stand behind you. You face that way. Turn that way, that's right. See, hers is a little bit more sloped back. See the difference? Okay. People with a straight up and down forehead learn step by step by step. And these children or students are labeled slow learners in school. They know the information, but they panic at exam time. And so the secret is, if you know your teenager or student has that trait, play music at exam time, play music when studying, because it helps them to relax. I've worked with people from all over the world, students who have this trait, who at the bottom of their class, and they've all, after my assessment, they've all gone to the top of their class and signed up for university. So what happens if teachers go too fast and they miss a piece? They don't get anything else. Or if you start in the middle of something, they get lost. You have to start at the beginning. Or if you change plans at the last moment with them, say, but I thought we were going to do this. And it's hard for them to change gears. So you just warn them the night before, say, let's just be flexible tomorrow. Or if they're going to catch a plane, which my husband's very used to now, I have to be there 2 hours ahead of time. because so now I say, relax, 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 lift your head again, and it helps you to work with that trait. So if somebody has a really sloped back forehead, really sloped back, quick to think, quick to react. Now, what I want you quickly to do is to put up your hands and fingers together and look to see if your ring finger is longer than your index finger. Who's got a long ring finger? Okay. Oh, quite a few of you here. Well, these are the risk takers. These are the people who like to take risks. And you find, certainly if men have this trait and the slow back forehead, they're going to drive fast. Drive fast. Yes, they love risk. They love driving fast. I remember getting into this car, in his taxi in England, and he's zooming off and his hands are on the steering wheel. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a risk taker. And so I had to slow him down. And when I got out of that car too, I was really pleased. But if you go to Funston, where they jump off, the hang gliders jump off, all of them have risk-taking trait. And then when in Petaluma, it's where I live, these steps connect to the roads, the steps that go down to the roads. I saw these children on a skateboard. One's about 8, the rest are about 10, 12. And this youngest one goes crashing down the bottom. And I said, let me see your hands. No. I said, let me see your hands. No. And his friend said, show the lady your hands. So he puts up his hands. I said, oh boy, are you a risk taker. And he said, well, what about me? What about me? And they all had the risk-taking trait. And then they see this man walking up the path. And they all run up to him and said, excuse me, sir, can I see your hands? And he put his hands up and he said, you're not a risk-taker. He said, you got that right. So this gives you immediate access as to what makes people tick and why. It gives you a template to work from. And for those of you who are coaches or therapists, or even in the sales industry or where you're selling people, it gives you a reference point on how to approach your clients. Carpet people in Petaluma said it had increased their sales after they read their book because they now knew how to work with their clients. I speak with companies all over the world. AT&T, IBM, I'm at the Commonwealth Club in San Jose the second time. And I'm at Ameriprise, the Bank of America brought me in to speak to their group. So it's so flexible, it's so easy to use, and it gives you another tool to work with. It helps you understand how to approach and understand your clients. So what I'm offering today is, if you decide to buy my book, you'll get a free mini reading with the purchase of the book. What a deal. And you'll love it. It just demonstrates how this works. And faces will never look the same again, so watch out. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thank you.